a lady accessed the front of the building and said that there was a person at the rear of our building and she couldn't wake him up. So I informed the senior worker in the project. We both went round to the back of the building, entered a lane to the rear and into a disused garage, and we found a number of people in the garage. One of note was the person lying on the floor, slumped a bit against the garage door, and he appeared to be unconscious. So I asked a member of staff to ring 999, as his colour was obviously not good. I felt quite shocked at the person's visual appearance, so I just sort of felt a bit of automatic pilot then, really.
My son served 2 short sentences last year. It was very important to me that in the prison he got a refresher course in the use of naloxone while in prison. On one instance he was released with a kit, and on another he was able to come to Swansea Drugs Project to pick up an intake kit afterwards. He's serving a current prison sentence and he's doing really well. He's not on any drugs at all. And I'm really hopeful for his recovery this time. He's in a good place, but I still want him to have that naloxone refresher before his sentence ends, and to know I've got the security of him having a naloxone kit, so that all the good work he's done in terms of recovery while in prison is not going to be lost, because he goes and uses once and loses his life.
After checking his breathing further, doing the chest rise and fall, found that he definitely wasn't doing any breathing of any shape or form. So I had to commence giving rescue breaths then and chest compressions. So my senior colleague had returned to the building to pick up a naloxone kit, which was, I suppose, everything's a bit of a blur because I'm in the middle of chest compressions and giving breaths. And in the meantime, the dentures are sort of fallen out and I had to hook them out, and so all this was going on. But I think it must have been about a minute and a half, and the first naloxone kit arrived, which the worker administered in the person's thigh area. And whilst I was I'd given it a short period of time, about 20 seconds, to see if there's any change in condition, but there was no effect whatsoever after the first kit.
Naloxone can prolong your life, and maybe in the future you may give up taking drugs. You may have something to offer the community on a wider level then, do you know what I mean? So I mean, you can't just suddenly turn around and condemn everyone simply because you think drugs are bad and say, well, you know, that can save his life, but is his life worth saving? You know what I mean? Lives are always worth saving.
So the second kit arrived. That was administered, must have been a further 3-4 minutes later. So in all, I think my compressions must have gone on for about 6 or 7 minutes before the second kit actually made some difference to the person's condition, whereas I could detect some faint breathing, so unsupported then. Still not a great change in condition, still unconscious. So placed the person in the recovery position, and a client who'd actually been attracted to all the commotion that was going on at the back of the project was outside the garage, and he stated that he had a third kit on him, and the decision was taken to administer that one as well.
Because I've known people hit up someone and he died because he gave him the wrong drug. And this is before Naloxone was even heard of. And he thought he's doing the guy a favour, and you know, because he went over and he gave him speed, he did, and he died. And if Naloxone had been available then, the guy would be still walking the streets now.
I'd say literally about 10 minutes after the initial alarm that the person was there, the third kit was administered, because obviously in the kit's current form you've got to draw it up. Everyone's hands are shaking, getting the needle on the syringe. So that was administered, and it was literally about a minute after the third administration the person actually opened his eyes.
If it had been available as soon as the powers that be realised that it could be manageable for people who, let's say, their lifestyle is quite chaotic, there would be a lot more people whose parents wouldn't be grieving right now. You know, I know personally, I couldn't even count on my fingers and toes of friends I've lost over the years. And I don't just mean acquaintances, I mean actual friends, good friends. So I think that's reason enough to give it out in itself. And I know that the project have had to use it on many occasions, and people have come in and they've looked like they've just been gouching out or goofing, whatever, but they've actually turned into a full-on overdose, and they've had to bring them out, bring them around with it. And it just seems like a no-brainer. You know, it's such a low cost.
So it was quite a hair-raising experience. So I was very mindful of the amount of people that were behind me at that point when I step back from the situation. But at that time, in that situation, it was very much just me and the person on the floor. So, but a huge sort of support effort behind me then going on as well with regards the ambulance calls, direction of the ambulance and police then subsequently to the project. So by various people waving them in.
I mean, I've been told not to use the word compulsory, which in my opinion it should be, because I would say it would have saved about 20 to 30 people in Swansea over the last 10 years. And that's without the rest of the people that have gone. And that includes my own brother. So that is my opinion on it, that it should be something that if you're gonna get involved with a project like SAND or whatever it be, Wakada or any of the drugs projects, then I believe that, as I've just told, not to use the word compulsory, but it should be part of your treatment then.
I didn't have a face mask on me at the time, so I had to make a quick assessment at the start, which is what I said is a bit of a blur, everything going on. But I did make an assessment that his lips, even though they were pretty blue, were dry and clean. They didn't have any cracks or sores on, so I had to make a decision. I remember sitting there on my knees, hands on my legs, looking at him and thinking, right then, it's either do this or we're talking about a funeral. So it was definitely one of those moments. So yeah, it was pretty hairy stuff. But the effects on the naloxone obviously made a huge difference.
Yeah. But the dead bodies that I've seen, it's very upsetting, because I know there's a family out there that's going to go through, that's going through what I've been through with my family. And it's devastating, and this can be stopped. And it needs to be stopped. You know, and if me and Andy can do 11 people between us, how many others does it give a chance? Proper training, you know, proper protocol, proper training, proper knowing exactly where we all stand, then life can go on.